Y'all come in here. Let's talk about this funeral that occurred, that took place. Y'all get on up in here and let's discuss it. Let's talk about it. Hey, good morning, Gamma. Y'all, we finna talk about this funeral that I went to, my grandmother's funeral, y'all. I gotta give y'all the backstory of the funeral to the leading up to the funeral. Okay, my grandmother, she's 84. She lived in these senior living high-rise apartments for years, right? But they was in the steps of remodeling. And my grandmother is not good with change, y'all. So she didn't want to move out. But she ended up having to move out. So they relocated her to some more apartments that they had on a different side of town. But y'all, she started, when she moved to the different apartments, she started dealing with like memory loss. You know, she was going up in age or whatever. So she was battling with that. And at the same time, she's not good with change. Yeah, I was able to enjoy my grandmother over that weekend. After that weekend, I think my grandmother ended up moving into the apartment, right? When she moved into the apartment, she only lived there maybe like a week or something, and the memory loss started happening like really, really, really bad for her. So they end up having to take her out of the new apartment and placing her into the nursing home, which, you know, I don't believe that's a place for nobody. I really don't. I don't enjoy those type of places. I worked in one and I had to quit because my heart be so tied into things that I had to let go of that job. Anyway, y'all, my grandmother went there, so I'm gonna tell y'all the time. This is the particular time they put me in my space, my head space. My mama, her sister, my sister, and my auntie's daughter, they went and they had Thanksgiving dinner with my grandmother. And y'all, they did not invite me, and that really pissed me off. That really hurt my feelings. Cause I logged into Facebook and seen everybody picture or whatever up on there where they didn't sit down and ate, and you know. So I bring it to their attention, like, why y'all didn't invite me to go eat Thanksgiving dinner with grandmother? They was like, well, they didn't want no kids. I was like, I didn't have to bring my kids. I could have left my kids with their dad. I could have came. Y'all, for this last year or so, I had put in my mind, could be selfish. I'm not going to say I'm right. Most definitely it could be selfish. I put it in my mind that if I can't celebrate you in life, I refuse to celebrate you in death. That was just my MO. And my grandmother was still living when I put that in my mind. If I can't celebrate you in life, I refuse to celebrate you in death because I don't feel like that's genuine, right? Make the story a little shorter. My grandmother ended up passing this year, y'all, a week after my birthday. A week exactly after my birthday, y'all. So, like, that day, emotions went crazy with me. Like, I was crying, y'all. I was really crying. Then it got to the point they started planning a funeral. Like, my mom would call, like, you want to write something down in the obituary? I was like, no. I think resentment started coming out of me. I was like, no, I don't want to write nothing in her obituary note or whatever. They was like, are you gonna say something? I was like, I don't know, no. Then like a few days before the actual service, I put in my mind that I wasn't going. I remember I told myself years ago, if I can't celebrate you in life, I won't celebrate you in death. And the last memories that I actually shared with my grandmother was when she was at my mom's house when she was moving apartments, right? So maybe that's selfish, but that's how I felt. I put that in my mind. So y'all, I was like, let me prepare something. I'm going to get up there and I'm going to speak. Let me just write down what I want to say. Y'all, I grabbed a piece of paper and a pencil. Nothing came to my mind. Nothing. Like, it was blank. Like, I had nothing to write down to say. And that's not like me. When I go to funerals, I speak at everybody's funeral. I'm sorry. That's just me. Because this is my last time seeing you, and I'm going to leave out knowing I spoke whatever was on my heart. Y'all, I had nothing, like nothing. I couldn't put nothing down. I started off like saying I was going to put grandmother, and each letter of grandmother, I was going to write something out. Like I was going to have the G standing for whatever. But I couldn't do it. Like I couldn't do it, y'all. So I just put in my mind, you know what, I'm not going. I had talked to my sister about it. And I told her, I say, no, I'm not going. I'm not going, y'all. She was like, well, I respect your mind. If that's how you feel, you just not going to go. Y'all, it was the night before the actual service that I kind of put in my mind, you know what, we going to go ahead and go. But I still wasn't sure. I was still fighting myself about going, y'all. I was still like, I'm not going. It wasn't until Saturday morning, y'all, I got up and I was like, you know what? Yeah, we gonna go. So we got ready. We went up in there. Y'all, I should have stayed at home. Y'all, we got up in there. I'm thinking when I get there, it's gonna be wall to wall pack. I don't know why I felt like my grandmother's funeral was supposed to be jam packed, as it should have been jam packed. All these seeds and branches she done left behind, everybody and their child should be in attendance, family related. I don't know if my grandmother had friends or whatnot, but my grandmother was crazy, y'all. My grandmother was a real gangster. So I don't know if she had good friends from her days and time, but from her family, it should have been crowded, wall to wall. Y'all, I got up in there, that thing was so empty. I was looking like maybe they just ain't came. Because, you know, they do the wake and the funeral at the same time. Like, they'll do the wake first. Well, which they say the viewing. Then they'll start the funeral like an hour or two after. But it's all in the same day. So I'm like, okay, well, at first I put in my mind I was just going to go for a little while and I'm going to leave. But I ended up staying till the whole thing was over. And I did actually get up there and say something to my grandmother. But I felt like it was brief. It could have been more, but it was like, it was a writer's block on my brain. Y'all, to make matters even worse, I'm kind of shedding tears. I'm holding an obituary in my hand and I'm shedding tears. Now, y'all, this is how you know my mind wasn't in there with me. Because I had an obituary open and I'm looking. I'm supposed to be reading this obituary, y'all, but it's tears flowing. It wasn't until my son brought to my attention my name ain't even spelled right in the obituary, y'all. I want to know who Laquita is. Because Laquita ain't me. That ain't even nowhere near my name. Maybe the L ain't right, but who the hell is Laquita? Y'all, it seemed like as soon as my son pointed, my name was misspelled. I'm like, wait a minute, let me tap my mama on her shoulder. And ask her who Laquita is. Girl, I tapped her on her shoulder. She talking about sit back. Oh, wait, sit back. Nah, we don't need to sit back. We need to sit up right now so we can figure out who Laquita is. Y'all, I can't even take this obituary to my goddamn job. Like, who is Laquita? Who the hell is Laquita? When we find out who Laquita is, then Laquita need to come get this obituary because she can take this to her job. I can't. So y'all, that was a red flag right there. Then I just told y'all about the Thanksgiving dinner where my sister and them was able to go and eat with my grandmother. Those are the pictures that's in the obituary. I have not one picture in my grandmother's obituary. Nothing. I have nothing in my grandmother's obituary that spoke I'm one of her grandchildren. Nothing. My name not even spelled right in there. So it was like, y'all really wrote me out of her life. Y'all really did write me out of my grandmother's life. That's how I felt. And that's how I'm going to feel. Like y'all really wrote me out. So after I do my little speech or whatever, and I'm crying, it's like my mind just drifting, is just studying on. I didn't go to the gravesite. I couldn't do that part. So I'm just like, okay, we just gonna skip the gravesite. My mom, they was like, y'all, my mama went out there and act the fool at the gravesite. She was like, this was the end. She